Okay. Hiya. I'm Tom Neal from Boulder City, Nevada. And over the last 20 years, we have developed what we think is the ultimate in thermal storage, an area you hear a lot about load shifting and the saving of energy. And what I'm going to tell you right now may seem a little inconceivable. By the use of this system and an active cooling system, we can reduce the power consumed in the air conditioning season by 30%, 3-0, without touching the thermostat inside. So basically what we do, we started with residential, where we would put it in an attic, and it always has to be used with insulation on either side. Resistance, capacitance, that's us, and resistance on the bottom. As time went on, we started thinking that, you know, you look at the square feet in Walmarts and Kmarts and Targets and Alberts, and I think, God, how do we do that? So with the help of Dow Chemical and a lot of other people, you'd be amazed who's helped me in this. You look up, you see a drop ceiling. Well, that's what we would look like. The only difference is if that was a drop ceiling, it would come down and ours would go up. Or if there's none up there, then we would create the drop ceiling. What a great artist I am. My air conditioning architect was to be here today, and he got tied up at Vandenberg Air Force Base. We could have had a good show and tell. We had all the phase change material and the transfer system. This is Manville ductboard, and here is the phase change material, which is packaged in little 6-inch squares, tight packaging, so you don't get breakthrough in it. The phase change material is the key. Most of what you've seen are with the paraffins, mostly manufactured by BASF. Well, BASF paid me a visit about 4 months ago and confessed that they have ceased operations. The difference is that the salt, the calcium chloride hexahydrate, has thermal storage of 84 BTU per square foot. The paraffins can only manage 55. And as far as cost is concerned, you can only imagine. This is dirt and water we worked with. This is calcium chloride and water. Now to stabilize that, because if you've studied this at all, you know that they say, well, you know, just salt water, that it sounds good, but the problem is that it melts incongruently. It tends to have the water and the salt separate. Well, not the way I learned it, because I talked to George Lane. He's 90 years old. We found him about 15 years ago. He's the guy that did all the work, 90 patents on phase change formula with the salts. And there's a whole bunch of them, but for our application, well, that's the one we're supposed to use, and that's the one we are using. So everything works with it, and it has an infinite life if it's packaged properly. That's the second big problem. We have to vacuum pack it, and Bemis Plastics of Neenah, Wisconsin, right now are developing a polyfoil packaging material for us that will hold a vacuum for 20 years and go with the freeze-thaw cycle. Now, say one would get violated, one of those little packages. Well, this stuff is extremely hygroscopic. It wants to get water in it. So we can't have that happen. The vacuum pack will hold that tight for a 20-year life, so we don't get water in it. And also, you might think if that water would get loose, would that not eat nails? The answer is definitely. It would eat the hell out of them. So what do? We first, after we get the phase change material mixed with water, and then the exothermic 180 degrees flashes off, calcium chloride's wild stuff. After that settles down, there's 5 other salts that go into it and stabilize. It has to warm up or cool down before you can do that. Then in the liquid form, it only goes to solid to liquid. In the liquid form, we absorb it into microspheres of perlite. You know what perlite is? That's like potting soil. It's volcanic glass, all kinds of different grades of it. We use the stuff they throw away, the microspheres. They're very round. And what happens is you can pour a liquid in it, and it'll absorb it, but it won't let it out. It's held in by surface tension. Perfect for us. When it's melted, it feels like wet sand, but the stuff does not drip out. Then it's vacuum packed into this very tough sheeting material. Now, up here, what we've developed is an active cooling system. I look at a Walmart, and I want to, you know, I think this is really what we need. So how do you get 160,000 square feet? we're using Manville ducting board. It's fiberboard is all it is. We leave a 5-inch plenum in the middle where we take that phase change material, which I don't know, that looks like, I don't know what that looks like, a Ku Klux Klan or something, but it's really our packages triangulated lengthwise in that ducting board. And then we can take, if it's below 80 degrees Fahrenheit, that's the freeze thaw point. If it's below that, it will refreeze itself. And all we do is use the air conditioning fan system to do that. Sensors are put in there to say, okay, it's cool enough. So at night, I mean, it would never cool itself in a store. So we drive at very low speed. We take through the ambient air if below 80. If not, in Palm Springs, Las Vegas, you haven't got a prayer. It's like 84, 85 at night. So what we do there is the sensor in the air conditioning says, okay, we're going to regenerate this with nighttime off-peak air. Okay? We use a little bit more energy then, but it's energy that really isn't too serious. Plus that'll give you a little power to generate. All right, the net savings, 30%. The load shift complete. The cost, well, we're working with dirt and water. The most expensive part of this whole thing is the packaging material itself. We don't know what that is. They're just developing it. It will probably be the most cost that we're going to see is from the packaging material itself. The Manville ducting board is about $1 a square foot. We're shooting for $3 a square foot cost. I was able to get with Senator Wyden of Oregon about a year and a half ago, and I got us written into a federal energy bill for thermal storage for a 20% federal tax credit. As you know, in Washington, exactly nothing has happened. So they've resubmitted about 3 times, but it's in there for 20%. So we're hoping that that will be a reality pretty soon. Moreover, the thermal storage that you folks have already in your incentive programs, I believe are mostly for ice bear. Am I right? More or less. Right. Okay, so what that does, of course, it makes ice at night, and then as the day, as it melts, it blows in and augments the air conditioning system. It will shift the peak. It saves no power. It saves no energy. We never let the heat in the building. We have 2 new patents now that cover also the walls and the ceiling area. So we'll be taking the wall load out. We think we can do that on new construction in the new modular stuff. I think modular housing is going to come here one of these days with a vengeance. And we can get it entirely cycle that cool air through the walls and the roof, and you're going to have a real thermal system. Where are we? I don't know. Where are we? We've got a lot of people that are very interested in having this technology. We think we probably would have already been, our intellectual property and our processes would have already been picked up. But the problem is everybody's scared to death to do anything now. You know that. I mean, Washington is a hell of a mess, I'm telling you. Nobody is going to invest in things like that that hasn't been proven. But I think they're going to do it pretty quick. So to prove this, we're going to put a store in, a retail store in a tough place, Lancaster, California. As you know, that is a hostile environment. It's hot and it's cold, and we're going in there. And Mr. Delaney has promised he's going to help monitor that and analyze all the figures, and we will do everything that we say we're going to do. Now, what have I forgotten? Is my time up? I got 1 minute. I don't know what to talk about now. Well, all right, John, all right, real quick. I just want to tell you, I kind of know what I'm doing. I'm the founder of Hot Spring Portable Spas, which is the largest manufacturer in the world. Who's heard of Hot Spring Portable Spas? Who has one? Anybody? Well, you do. Oh, it's my wife. That's the most energy efficient appliance in the world. It's like a great big thermos bottle. We were bought by Masco in 1986. My $100,000 investment in 1978, and we invented the whole industry. I don't want to tell you what we got for it, but I will tell you this. We created 10,000 jobs directly on that money I put in. And that's what they're looking for. Where's this going to create jobs? Believe me, this thing is a magnitude larger. This is going to be a lot of people to make this stuff and install it. And by the way, I did hear that about the Masco, or about the installation. Masco, I'm working with them. They have 300 markets that they cover for installation. They were installation guys. And then because Masco's faucets and cabinets, they remodeled kitchens and bathrooms. So they'll be doing the alpha installation of this stuff and the conversion of the controls. I'm sorry my AC guy wasn't here. He's a very brilliant guy, but something came up at Vandenberg Air Force Base, and he didn't make it. So you'll have to take my word for what I'm telling you. It says stop.
Tom, let me share a little bit about what we've been talking to you about. We've been working with Tom for a while now, and the basic idea here is to use the phase change to, if you will, absorb the heat for the makeup air part of the cooled space. And then you have to have a location with good diurnal swing, good cool evening temperatures. That would be preferable. And then the sorry, I usually talk too loudly. Anyway, so the idea would be to use this in the makeup air part of the cooling system and cool that air without mechanical devices, and then use that within the building at night when you have less of a need for cooling or no need. You can recharge the phase change material by using outside cool night air to do that. So the basic idea is a little bit different approach that Tom and his company has than in sheetrock or wallboard or in ceiling tiles and some of the other areas that we've seen. So this is actually using the air to provide cooling by using the phase change to absorb the temperature of the outside air coming in. So.
The reason we realized that there are areas, we were told by a lot of these people who are interested in us, DuPont and others, you got to have it so it works all the time. So that's when we started thinking we got to get nighttime refrigerated air to it sometime. But as a percentage in the U.S., very small. Very small. Where we live in Boulder City, Nevada, it's still 82 degrees in the middle of the night. But not in Minneapolis, not in Detroit, not in Chicago, usually. And it doesn't matter, because if it does have to use nighttime air, it senses it, and away it goes. Yes, sir?
So refreezes, let me understand this. Refreezes when it's below 80 degrees.
That's correct.
It's inside a retail store, which last I looked, it should stay below 80 degrees.
No, this is a collection medium. This is where the stuff is. Yeah, it is below 80, but that phase change material will have collected the entire solar load of the day before. That's what we got to get out of there. See. It releases it, it takes it in from the outside and releases it the outside. I've got a plenum system drawn here that'll explain all that to you. If that isn't enough, there's stratified heat to deal with in-store stuff, from computers, people, lights. We're working on a system now to get that stratified air up into that control space above our plenum. The plenum is low. The only thing that sticks out are the cameras, the lights, and the sprinkler. That's the bottom. That area up there is the area we're trying to get that stratified heat underneath that plenum, so to speak, up into that area so we can deal with that as well. There we don't know how much we can catch.
So you're blowing the air over this.
Right down the duct. That's right.
And it cools the air as it travels along it, and it's pushed back into the building.
No, it's melded inside the triangular disc. What we got to do is get that heat out of there so it'll refreeze. So we're inducting ambient air at night when below 80. You're going to run that by, and that takes the heat out, and that heated air is exhausted to the outside.
How do you get cooling in the daytime?
You don't. Doesn't need it. It has enough capacity. It's designed to last until about 6 o'clock, which I think 6 or 7 is defined as the end of the peak load. It's 2 pounds per square foot, and it's 82 BTU per pound. We can handle it.
The idea is to is a capacitor, essentially. You're not a resistive situation. So the idea is to use that energy in the phase change material so that you can reduce the heat going after it goes through the insulation and other things, that because of the phase change capacity to store the energy, that it would be enough to not allow that heat to move into the space, essentially. All you're trying to do is avoid the heat actually migrating into the space and being absorbed in the phase change material and then regenerating it with, quote unquote, free, cool diurnal air. But again, it's well understood. The mechanics or the physics of it is quite well understood. The issue is, can it be proven in a real situation? And that's what we're, I guess.
The answer is yes. We're going to do that. Mr. Epry, you guys helped us run the first tests at Oak Ridge. And it was a little crude, and it did not have the active system. But there they calculated between 25 and 35% saving. And that was just on convectional cooling in the attic. See, with this control system, we can control it under all instances. So, anyways, we don't know what else we can think of. It's taken us 20 years to get this far. We've looked at every negative part we can think of. Working with Nevada Energy, we got the statistics on a Walmart superstore. They use $600,000 a year worth of power. They estimate up there that over $300,000 is air conditioning. It's brutal. And if we can save 30%, that's $90,000 off. And it's gravy after about 3 years. Now, we could do, if we get that federal 20% thing, and it might go up. We know one thing, the power rates are going to go up. And every time that happens, we look better. And believe me, it is, I don't know what the hell. I love this so much.
Any other questions before we break for lunch?
Okay, let me say one thing. I'm going to put, right up here, I'm going to put some books that tell the whole story. It was too much to even mess with up here. But the whole story of it and all the testing, the patents, the whole 9 yards will be right here.
Okay.
Okay, and I'll stand there. 50 cents a copy. No, I'm just kidding.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.